Testing sound, 1, 2, 3. Welcome everybody. We are going to do something slightly different on this video. We will be watching essentially a different video, which you can see on the live chat for qualifying, and then I'm going to switch on to the screen you can see right now for the all-important race that I'll be directing live as we go. I'll be starting the video at 2 minutes 25. And I'll be diving straight in once you know what I'm doing, and hopefully you'll enjoy what we do. You can obviously open up things on a different tab if you happen to be watching this live until we mix everything back together again. Okay, so without further ado, this is Webbo, of course, on the home channel. I will be starting the linked video at 2 minutes 25 in 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody here to Deviant Racing's all-important first race of the new season, and it is murky, it is misty, it is damp, and it is here at the circuit, and the drivers just getting too familiar with their GT4 cars. And some really exciting prospects here for our qualifying session. Can't wait to get started for you. Straight away we are with the pink and black car of Arcane, and Arcane, of course, one of our many US and American drivers here today. We've got one Thai driver, Maxwell, and we shall obviously get to know everybody as we get underway. Here is Hyphy Honda, who is following in the wheel tracks of one of the rivals there. This looks like the Alfa Romeo GT4 with a Takata livery, white, green and black, looking very good out there. One of the best features of Gran Turismo 7 is watching these cars in these mixed conditions. Absolute pleasure to be here to witness this fantastic circuit. First of all, there we have Lalo Kills, just in 11th place at the moment. Everybody just getting their cars organised, getting everything set up, but it is looking very, very damp out there. The bright lights are on, the headlights for the cars, of course. Of the racetrack, and as I mentioned, we will not have the visuals for the qualifying session here live until I go straight into the on-screen action. I'm watching the qualifying through the linked video as we go, and I heard that the audio was cutting out slightly. That might be just due to the positioning of my controller right now. But here we go then. Arcane starting his first lap, as is TD's behind in the Lamborghini. Then behind him, the Hyphy Honda driver with Sully driving as well in watching and waiting. We've got the Jaguar then of Maxwell and R. Saito making an overtake straight away. Not a lot of room given here for qualifying as both drivers wash out a little bit in that first corner, just overcooking it slightly, and it looks like Rue getting through as well. Maxwell going slightly sideways through the corner, and the approach then to the second real corner, turn number 3, as Thrasher with the Shell liveried Ferrari on board is just making his way through. Very happy few months for Shell sponsored Ferraris, who've managed to win the Triple Crown essentially this year already. Very interesting situation there for Shell Fuels, and anticipate them celebrating that throughout the rest of the year. Curious Kai is in 8th place at the moment. We're just waiting for those first laps to come in as the drivers at the lead of the lap start their entry into the second hairpin. Again, you can see the cars just snaking around slightly. Here is Curious Kite with the green wheel rims and side skirt. There you'll see the penalty line where the drivers will have to go off throttle for the determined period of time. And there's another one of the Alfa Romeos with Silo then in a very interestingly liveried Lamborghini. Arcane then coming through out of the final corner and beginning the start of his major exploits now. Arcane straight away at 156.9. Of course, the drivers will expect to go quicker in drier conditions, but Arcane's still first out of the pits and first on the provisional times as well. Our Saito goes through. Lots of drivers coming in. It's TD's next in second place. It's Hyphy Honda in third at the moment on these first flying laps as the drivers make their way through. But that's a new one for Deviant. Deviant goes first, then potentially with only 1/10 of a second separating him and Arcane. Tremendously quick, especially on these mixed conditions here. There is Deviant's car with the turquoise nose. And we flick around to just check out where all the drivers are. Hyphy Honda in fourth right now. There's that Ferrari of Thrasher 87. Just needing to find a little bit more room on the racetrack to progress up from sixth position as our camera crew follow the Ferrari around the track at the moment, looking for some slipstream action potentially, but not wanting to get hampered as the car in front of him on track certainly is getting a little bit hampered in this third lap total, second flying lap here. And I did see, I think we had wet tyres on the majority of the cars as they come through. Of course, the spectator view doesn't always give you the highest fidelity of the rain and mist conditions on the circuit, but it does look like the sun is coming out. We should expect some slightly better conditions then as the qualifying progresses. I do believe we're on for some rain during the race, so hold on to your hats for that one. Fifth place then for Root, fourth place for Hyphy Honda. We cycle through then to find our Saito then with the red roof, Major League Baseball rear window sticker. Of course, that might hamper his vision from behind, but he'll be hoping he won't need to look behind in the race, although life might prove a little bit different for him. TD's, though, holds on as we've got our Saito setting a personal best new lap, but only good enough for sixth place right now. 2.5 seconds away, I think, from the lead lap. Here comes Curious Kite, and he goes to cross the line. Several drivers in the pits just getting themselves ready for their next flying lap as we run through. It is lap 4 in total for the majority of the drivers who've been out since the start. We will see if conditions dry up. We'll see drivers switching tyres. This is Divine in P8, setting a personal best time. So clearly the conditions improving way beyond the suitability for these particular tyres, unless he's managed to get onto some slightly drier or better compound of tyre. The soft tyre is the one in rotation, in mandatory rotation today for the race, but I believe qualifying tyre choice is open to the drivers. This is Divine then. Beautiful livery scheme. I don't know if that is for Pride Month or just a fantastic colour fade system, rainbow nose to tail fade. Looking really good anyway, regardless. Curious Kite still down outside of the top 8 right now as Arcane with the green wheels and pink racing stripes and flashes on the sills, looking very nice. I don't quite know who he was impressing there with his headlights flashing. I don't know if he's got his finger caught on the headlight button, because there's nobody in front of him to indicate to. Here's back with the Jaguar then of Maxwell, representing Thailand, if I'm not mistaken, with that flag. If I know my racing flag from Alexander Albon at least, but has got the British Airways British wing mirrors as well, so fully repping us Brits, and we need the representation, it looks like, in this particular league right now. Car number 8 haven't gone for 007 or anything like that, tends to be reserved for the Aston Martin drivers. It looks like a little bit of stretching of the racetrack happening there with some gravel kicked up, but Thrasher in P7, 1.6 seconds away from the lead at the moment. Will certainly hope to be doing a little bit better than 1.5 tenths slower than his best time so far anyway. He's stuck behind our Saito, and our Saito is not moving out of the way. If he is on a flying lap, he's not obliged to move away, I don't believe. But going off the racetrack, someone is just letting everybody past. I think that was Sully as Thrasher parks up the car, or certainly heads off into the grass. Isn't going to feature on this lap in our race for pole. It's Hyphy Honda then who leads TDs. Hyphy Honda snuck that one in without us seeing, but over and above TDs on the front row. Then comes Arcane in third as we watch with Curious Kai, and he is looking then to try and find his way through. Silo, I think that's a Brembo sponsorship, very classy, as Lalo Kills goes heading into the second hairpin. Not much of a hairpin though. It's very open and a genuine overtaking opportunity for the Alfa Romeo later on in the race. Here is Roux, P9, 2.3 seconds away from the provisional pole position, which is a 1:54.053 from Hyphy Honda. Our Saito and Thrasher have found a lot more room on the racetrack. Some smoke kicking up though. Thrasher definitely living up to his name there in terms of his treatment of the tyres. Deviant then heading down into the third and final sector of the track. This Autopolis circuit, one of Japan's finest. Arcane in P3. And he's on a slow lap right now, 12 seconds over his best, just looking to warm up the tyres. This is his final lap. We must have had a 10-minute qualifying session selected. TDs then. Looks like final laps for everybody. It's now or never. This one reminiscent of the art car in Le Mans, but certainly very Beats headphone reminiscent as well. TD's in P2. Hyphy Honda holding on, though, at the moment to provisional pole. He's just started his final lap. Sully gets out of the way kindly. Lalo Kills is hoping to do the same, I think, for Hyphy Honda. Maxwell's in the pits. Maxwell will do no better than fourth position, it seems. Oh, dear, that is really hampered then for Hyphy Honda, going round. Two cars on his last flying lap. Looks like the driver's slowing, though. We may have our pole position of Hyphy Honda and TDs early doors. Lots of drivers going slow. So, where will everything finish up? Maxwell in fourth, it seems. Arcane, he appears to still be pushing, as is TDs. Half a second only away from the pole position. What will this be? Can TDs reclaim that pole position at the end of the session? No, he cannot, unfortunately. So second place will have to do for TDs as Hyphy Honda comes on through out of the second hairpin. We'll wait for an update on his lap time into the third sector. Yellow headlights ablaze. That is not the way to get down into the corner. And car number 66, unfortunately, that is the racing done and dusted. Arcane crosses the line, no improvement. Looks like no one is able to challenge here. Everybody going slow, so it looks like it's going to be Hyphy Honda with the 1:54.053 as Sully is just cruising here. Big league crew for the MLB indicating team here. Time appears to be up for everybody. It's Hyphy Honda, TDs and Arcane, it looks like, for the qualifying session. I will just wait to check whether anybody goes quicker and we get the end of qualifying. It's very strong wind, 11.6 feet per second. Not quite sure what that translates to in miles per hour. Or meters per second even, but I think it's relatively gentle. Waiting to see if we get any kind of indication then as to the final results. But it is Hyphy Honda from TDs and Arcane, with Maxwell, Deviant and Sully making up the top six. Outside of that, we've got Thrasher, Saito, Roux, Lalo Kills, Curious Kai and Silo, I think it is, we shall see those drivers on the grid, and hopefully I'll be able to get you then into the meat of this particular session. Let's go as we get underway for our race. Looking forward to this one, no end, and hopefully I'll be able to show you a little bit more then what is happening. I will just make sure that we get all of our settings correct so we can see everything. Looks like a standing start for the drivers. We'll be ready to go. I'm going to turn the replay loop off as well, but hopefully riding with Maxwell first of all. It's Hyphy Honda at the start from pole position, who's got the inside line, who is unfortunately not repping the Honda car at all. He's in an Alfa Romeo with the Lamborghini of TD next to him. Anyway, all told, let's get ready to go racing. This is Deviant Racing. It's time to go for the GT4 circuit. And it's dropped the clutch and go, go, go. The car's looking good in the mist, in the murk, in the rain, away from the start. And it's Hyphy Honda who managed to get the good launch as they approach turn 1. Arcane now into P3 at the moment. And TD slotting into second, trying to be nice and tidy here. And Maxwell over the curbs. It looks like the Alfa Romeo, the blue Alfa Romeo behind, is struggling himself, but he's managed to hold on. We have a 60-minute race here on our hands as TD gets right up close to the back of Hyphy Honda into turn 3, but it didn't quite work out for him. Just having to take this one steady because we do have a long old race in front of us. Racing soft tyres on the cars straight away, and we did see some rain certainly in the warm-up position there. I think it's dry right now. So thankfully for the drivers, those soft tyres working and digging in nicely. The fuel wear will take into effect, of course, later on in the race, as we've got Rue and R. Saito fighting over positions. Maxwell has dropped down one place. How about that start for Thrasher? Up into 4th position from outside of the group. Rue just getting it wrong, just having to take avoiding action into the second hairpin behind Maxwell allows R. Saito to come through. So it is Maxwell then in 5th, R. Saito in 6th. Rue is now holding off and trying to defend from Deviant, who has a better line through the corner. That Chevy just struggling to warm up the tyres nicely, and it's a bit of a handful. This GT4 car is the Chevy for Rue. Behind him then Deviant just trying to get tucked in, isn't looking too racy at this stage. Back up at the front though, TD is allowing Hyphy Honda to get away from him a little bit here. The gap's opening up. Unfortunately, I haven't got live gaps on the car. We're going to have to measure it with our eyes instead. It looks like we've got northerly winds for the race as well, so that's going to affect the drivers going into those hairpin corners, especially the second hairpin with the heavy braking. But it's Hyphy Honda over the line at the end of lap 1 first, with a decent gap behind to TD. Arcane is in 3rd, then comes Thrasher in 4th, pretty close behind as we head down to turn 1. Maxwell lights ablaze on his own with R. Saito in 6th. Then comes Deviant. In 8th we have Rue. Lalo Kills in the all-blue Alfa Romeo that struggled over the curbs at the start. Then comes Sully in 10th, Guras Kai in 11th, Silo in 12th. In the pits though is Mercury, who is either putting on or taking off. This is our safety car, of course, so the safety car is getting getting those tyres ready. We will have a randomised safety car 2-lap period, a caution period here in the race. We don't know when that's going to be. The drivers don't know when it's going to be, and they cannot pit during that period. So it is definitely going to randomise this grid a little bit. TD's then, the car looking very racy, dipping down on the front axle, down into the second hairpin. Let's join our Deeds on board and see how the car is handling from behind. We've got plenty of gap to Arcane, and just tracking then where Hyphy Honda is good, where he is less good than TD's, and TD's already just a little bit wide of the apex there, looking to get himself smoothly in. Looks like some very gentle throttle application right now, just to bring these soft tyres up to temperature nice and tidily. Doesn't want to cause any problems for himself later in the stint, and really the drivers will be looking to try and extend these stints as much as they can with the opening, if they start on the soft tyres, opening up the possibility of using the safety car period to pit just afterwards and not be struggling too much then. That is a fastest lap then for T Deeds on lap 2. Looking good then for him so far, but not close enough to challenge into the next corner. Arcane has lost a position. Thrasher has found a way through then and is into P3. What a start for Thrasher, although he gets turn 1 a little bit wrong. Arcane goes side by side. We'll have the inside line and the nose and tail ahead on the way into turn 3. So reclaiming that position nicely. The work left to do once again then for Thrasher, as we'll ride as if we were a passenger looking into the apexes. Thrasher just trying to find a neat way through into that apex without slamming into the back of the Renault of Arcane. So down we go. Looking the all-important exit out of this corner. Opens up the throttle so that you can challenge and try and get that slipstream and have a look into the second hairpin. It's not a huge distance though. Braking zones fairly short, and these heavy GT4 cars absolutely need wrestling around this circuit. But these soft tyres working well for Thrasher to bring him up so many places from the start of the race. Let's go back through then, see if we've got any other strategies happening. Well, Maxwell is on the soft tyres, but burning through that front left. He's obviously struggling around a little bit and burning through that front left like crazy. The rear axle really not lighting up much at all for our Saito in 6th place. Looks like the drivers been fairly uniform in their tyre selection. We're in soft tyres all the way through down to P10. Sully, the only driver on the medium tyres, he's allowed a gap to open up in front, but should gain over the length of the race. The medium tyre, generally the best race tyre here in Gran Turismo. Back to the softs for Kuroskai, and Silo in 12th position on the softs as well. So Sully completely on his own here as we wait to see then, will we see any challenges down into turn 1 at the start of lap 4? Thrasher having a look, potentially. Oh, that was a late lunge. Was there a hint of contact? Thrasher getting all crossed up, 6s and 7s for Thrasher, and that is about mistiming a run and an opportunity. Maybe Arcane braking earlier than Thrasher was expecting, but Thrasher sort of caught half in and half out of making a manoeuvre. Maxwell then right up into the tail of the Ferrari. Is the Jaguar. Very, very different aerodynamic profile of these two cars, of course. Let's join Maxwell on board, shall we, as we try and run and use the slipstream wherever possible. Nice tight line here for Maxwell to the apex. Thrasher struggling, but will the overspeed count for Thrasher? Looks like Maxwell struggling on torque and the ability to put those horsepower to use. Getting the car down. We're looking at, I think, the kind of second choice set of car manufacturers here for this season choices here at Deviant Racing for the GT4 squad. As Maxwell again looking to try and find a way through, but it looks like Thrasher's underlying pace advantage is helping him out here no end. Let's have a look then. It looks like we've got maybe a battle going on. Deviant versus Lalo Kills, two very bright blue noses, but of course a rainbow fade for Deviant as looking to make the move, but Lalo Kills flashing the headlights again. I'm not quite sure who he's flashing those headlights to. Maybe to us watching, because he was going to pull a little drift around the corner. Unfortunately, low down to 9th for Lalo Kills, and he probably won't thank me for catching that moment on screen, but certainly under pressure at that time. And now we're back to two of the closest drivers on the circuit, back with 4th and 5th. Maxwell trying to get that slipstream again. As I mentioned before, our Saito has behind him Rue right now, and Rue in the Chevy again trying to make a look down into the inside of turn 1, but unfortunately unsighted to the apex, misjudges and ends up on the mud and the dirt. But a good run into turn 3 for Rue. It's sidewall to sidewall. It's a little bit of contact, but Rue owning the corner and making fairly light work of our Saito. Rue moving up then. Our Saito struggling on those fronts on the soft tyres. Look at the tyre wear so far. This really has not been helping the drivers early doors, so they'll be looking to try and pit off these soft tyres at the earliest possible opportunity. It is lap 5 at the moment, and Hofi Honda leads T-Deeds and Arcane, with Maxwell moving past Thrasher. Looks like Thrasher may be another mistake, but immediately Maxwell off the circuit as well. Maxwell with the counter steer, trying to stay onto the racing line here, but has lost a huge amount of momentum going down towards the third sector of the racetrack. Roux looking for a way through, but Maxwell taking that inside line. Maxwell's hunt for Thrasher is done and dusted for now. Temporarily ahead, but and I think that might have been the two drivers taking turns to make mistakes. Thrasher losing out and is now some distance away from the fight for the podium, but Maxwell even further back himself now, and it's getting busy, isn't it, down here in the midfield as Roux makes a look down to try and get the inside into the very final couple of corners. Again, perhaps mistiming that one, because now Roux has mirrors full of Peugeot of Saito coming behind. Maxwell pits though, as does Deviant at the end of lap 5, start of lap 6. That is early for our drivers, but those soft tyres have not been behaving for the drivers at all, but they're getting their mandatory tyre out of the way. It could come to Sully later on, because Sully decided that he might prefer to run the soft tyre when the car is lighter on fuel. You have to hold the full tank of fuel at the start of Gran Turismo 7 races, so it does kind of hamper your strategy somewhat to try and make the optimum overall race time. 10 minutes gone of the 60, and it is Hofi Honda, T-Deeds, Arcane, Thrasher, Roux, and this car on screen. This is Saito with the Big League Chew and the MLB stickers all over it. Car number 19 in the rather large looking Peugeot. Lalo Kills is just behind him. We're expecting some weather later on. Look at that front left tyre though for our Saito. This Peugeot has not been helping him at all, and you can see just massive understeer trying to turn left. It'll be even worse trying to turn right, I'm sure. Lalo Kills in 7th is managing the tyres really well in comparison to the rest of the drivers. Very equal tyre wear here, but look at the little bit of damage there on the outside wing of Lalo Kills' car. So he's clearly been in the wars a little bit. Needs to try and get some more sponsors as well, because a car is looking good but a little bit bare as he performs the undercut on the Peugeot, and just that additional grip that Lalo Kills has managed to reserve for himself by better tyre management, better car setup, and maybe driving style as well. But there you can see some of that pretty paintwork has been scuffed off. Arcane has gone into the pits from 4th position. Will we see Roux head into the pits? Roux goes through and past Arcane then, who had almost worn his front left down to the canvas, as several drivers are now heading into the pits. We have Arcane then on the soft tyre, but for the time being, Arcane going for a second set of softs, and unusually here, despite the fact he's gone for those soft tyres, again a little bit of damage on the car, on the rear wheel arch, but he's gone for some extra fuel and the soft tyres. So interesting strategy here for the drivers. I was anticipating the drivers with fresh softs would run the car as light as possible. Kuroskai with the pink elephant and green wheel trims. He is in 8th. He's got very similar liveried car directly behind him of Arcane, who's come out of the pits on those fresh soft tyres and is sliding around a little bit. Those tyres not behaving quite right for him. He's a little bit lively on the car. Let's ride with him as he tries to wrest control of this one. Kuroskai is going to make this overtake very, very easy for Arcane indeed, and drifts off the circuit, just losing grip with very little in the way of tyre performance so far. Sully in front though of Arcane is still on those racing medium tyres, so he is on a split strategy from the entire rest of the grid, as perhaps you could say is Lalo Kills, who's managing that tyre wear better than the medium tyres here of Sully, who's barely touched his rears and it's almost destroyed his fronts. Crazy difference here, and I wonder whether that is to do with unexpected conditions on the racetrack, and a little bit of lack of practice. As you can see, the Jaguar just wagging one wheel in the air as he goes through the technical sector. Love to see that little bit of daylight underneath the tyres from Maxwell. Shows that the driver is pushing very hard, turning the car on the throttle as well. And he's in 10th right now, but he's come out on fresh soft tyres. Little touch of fuel perhaps to get him now into the second phase of the race. Thrasher in the Ferrari is pitting. We've got a yellow flag on the track. That is not a caution, a full course caution period. P13 is still in the pits, our pit lane driver right now. So that is all working okay. Thrasher out then, and has managed to stay ahead of Maxwell for now in the pit sequence. But surely Maxwell, with the better tyre temperatures, should be able to find a way through Thrasher, who has got the much cooler soft tyres on the car. Has he? Thrasher has put wet tyres on. Thrasher's gone for wets. What on earth is going on? So surely Maxwell can easily get through. I hope that's not a glitch on my end, but certainly Thrasher is showing as wet tyres. He's got his windscreen wiper on. Maybe he's seeing some rain. He is seeing rain. That was absolutely inspired from Thrasher. He's not gone for an intermediate tyre. Oh no, he's gone for the full wet. Perhaps this is explaining better now how the drivers were making decisions around using the soft tyre twice, because they knew potentially that they were expecting rain. Their engineers telling them about the rain. So for now at least, Thrasher's car not performing quite at the level he would hope, as Deviant still gets the better traction. But Thrasher's just got to live with this pain for a little while the rain intensifies. And as soon as that rain becomes too much for the dry tyre, boom, he will be very, very quick. Roux has gone for the intermediates, the in-between decision here for Roux, and does look to certainly have a lot more confidence getting into the apexes. Both our leaders, well, Hyphy Honda and new second position car Lalo Kills, are both in the pits. Let's just see what Hyphy Honda has managed to decide on for his tyres. He's gone for intermediates too. I did wonder whether wets were a little bit early as a decision to make, as Arcane has to live with the soft tyres at the moment. We've got T-Deeds on the intermediates, almost full of fuel as well, so presumably hoping to run the end of this race without fueling, as Sully, still on those mediums, is doing his best to scrub in those medium tyres, perhaps by running the rear axle over onto the mud. But there will be close to zero grip on wet grass in comparison to the tarmac at the moment. Sully, windscreen wipers on, and hoping to try and improve this one. The wind has really picked up. It has flipped around to the southwest now, the wind, a 9.2 meters per second wind. Apologies for the change in units here across the session, but now you can see the rain falling pretty hard, and I'm expecting to see drivers spilling and wrecking quite quickly here. The Floody has got plenty of sponsors on the car. It's looking very well supported, this car at the moment, but on the soft tyres, is it actually going to be a massive handful? Let's ride on board, shall we, and get the full cinematic experience of tackling this difficult technical racetrack in the wet with soft tyres on board. He's holding his own pretty well at the moment, I have to say. Looking pretty good here is Arcane, catching Hyphy Honda on the intermediate tyres. So he may feel like it's not worth going into the pits on the end of this lap. He's got some life in those soft tyres. His car is looking pretty light and nimble, and he's actually, staying away from the pit lane. He's confident enough right now, and he's possibly going to challenge for the lead of this race. Remember, Hyphy Honda on the intermediate tyres, as is T-Deeds behind him. So, trying to find a way in and round past Hyphy Honda's Alfa Romeo. Again, looking great. Honestly, great traction from Arcane, and it looks like the job is going to be made very easy. Sully and Deviant pit at the same time from their starting tyres, I believe, so dropping down. That means new leader on lap 10. It's Arcane. Maybe a hint he's starting to struggle with the car, as Hyphy Honda wants that position back. Hi-Fi Honda just sliding the rear, but yet suddenly now it is tipped and the racetrack is almost impossible for Arcane. He's crabbing down the straights, just fighting with the car right now. Arcane, car 54, is really struggling to get this. Try and close in on the driver, frantically trying to hold on. Look at this. He perhaps will regret the decision to stay out. This is phenomenal car control. I mean, it is entertaining. It has got to be distinctly code brown in the cockpit for car 54 for Arcane. He allows T-Deeds through, so T-Deeds up into second place now, and Arcane can barely point the car in a straight line. This is absolutely insane for him, and he's still got a whole sector of this racetrack in this condition to try and get forward, but driving straight on into the gravel, and that was always going to happen at the end of a long straight. Just a voyage into the unknown round the corner, and yeah, reminiscent of Lando Norris there in Russia. But Arcane P3 right now, and certainly this is where all the action is at the moment. Soft tyre. It is just a matter, it's like he's got the diff locked on the back and he's just trying to do a drift challenge, losing time hand over fist. Look how much the leaders are just inching away from him bit by bit. He'll be grateful for a slightly slower portion of the racetrack here, but here come Thrasher and Rue catching pretty quickly. There's Thrasher with the wet tyres. He's burnt right through those wet tyres. Arcane hugging the inside line, but Thrasher makes his way through into third. Then comes Rue in fourth. Lalo Kills is coming through as well. It looks like the intermediate tyres were the better favoured tyre at this stage. Just one or two drivers using the wet tyre, and surely now Arcane on his way in, as our Saito has a penalty on the car. He'll pay for that next time round. Arcane, I'm just hoping, will make it into the pits. He hasn't pitted. How on earth? What is he doing? I can't believe he's willing to brave another lap on these tyres. He's obviously actually enjoying this way more than I would in his situation, but dropping down, losing time over and over again. He's praying for that rain to stop. But surely the racetrack is going to remain too wet for now. It looks like we got Thrasher off. There was just a flash of red in the background, and Thrasher overcooking it into turn 3. Massive oversteer moment. His tyres now not treating him very well. Has he in fact overused the wets to the point where they're less effective than the intermediates? Again, a little bit of crossed up steering here from Thrasher, but he does have better traction. Down we go, trying to find the apex ahead of Lalo Kills, who sweeps across the outside, risks everything frankly to hold on to fourth position. But Thrasher just away from these slow corners, so much better. Gets up into fourth place again, but can he break the car down to the required speed for the apex? It is tiptoeing round. He doesn't want to cut off Lalo Kills' much faster mid-corner phase. 22 minutes in, and this rain has absolutely helped the drivers to condense. It's thrown a joker into the race. And don't forget, we still have our mid-race safety car to come. In fact, do you know what? I believe the safety car is in fact out. So the drivers will have to go behind the safety car. The field will condense. Let's check out, where is Mercury? He is on the circuit. He's picked up Hi-Fi Honda and T-Deeds, and the race will be neutralised for 2 laps now as the safety car. You can't miss that safety car. One of the brightest liveried safety cars I think I've ever seen. Not going to win any style points, but it is effective nonetheless. Hi-Fi Honda then in first position. The rest of the drivers are free to come up to the back of this car at their own speed. They are not free to pit until the safety car is on his way in, but it looks like T-Deeds has come in. Is that an illegal pit stop potentially for T-Deeds? As far as my understanding of the race is concerned, the pitting under the safety car is only permissible when the safety car is on its way in, on its in lap. So that could be a penalisable offence there for T-Deeds, but maybe he just didn't have fuel or tyres to get through. Hyphy Honda. Intermediate tyres, he has timed that intermediate tyre phase to perfection. Will the rain hold on, or will we see some drier weather at the end of the race? There are so many variables still at play here at the Deviant Racing GT4 new inaugural race of the season. Hyphy Honda leads on lap 12 from Roux in the Chevy. I can't imagine that Chevy is easy to drive in the wet. We've got Lalo Kills in the Alfa Romeo in third place. Thrasher has had plenty of excitement out there. This is a 60-minute race, so we are racing to time. So we're racing to the hour mark, and the lap after the race clicks over past the hour mark. Wherever you happen to be on the track. Our Saito is in 5th place. This will bring all the drivers, of course, onto the lead lap as well. So that will allow everybody to kind of finish in line. Then we've got Deviant in P6. In the, I believe that's a Chevy. Yes, it is. In the Blitz-sponsored Chevy. Maxwell down to 7th. Now, he qualified 4th, but has certainly been in the wars a couple of times. Again, intermediate tyres for Maxwell. The driver's limited up to about 70 miles an hour here as they sit underneath the safety car conditions. T-Deeds, that was the pit stop he made. He's put on wet tyres now because, frankly, it is absolutely biblical out there. No argument with that tyre selection, and they'll come into temperature nice and gradually under the safety car. Should switch on a bit quicker maybe in these conditions than intermediates. It's a bit of a toss-up there to know exactly. Kuros Kai has not found the tail of the safety car just yet in the Renault. Look at how much damage on the left side of the car. Kuros Kai struggling still. Intermediate tyres, and race director might have words there if you're driving past the limit underneath safety car conditions. Not really looking after our marshals. Here is Silo then. We get a nice close-up look of the cars as well. So in the Lamborghini GT4 for Silo, car number 99. Arcane, second of the Renaults. He's picked up a penalty, a time penalty under that safety car as well. A good opportunity to see that time penalty in effect. So the car will look like it is standing still because for 3.5 seconds the throttle is disabled. Here it goes. All the way down. Stab the throttle back on again before braking into the next corner. With Sully then down into 12th place. The drivers are going to be waiting a long time. The safety car is in. Hyphy Honda will restart this race for us in first position before even the drivers at the back of the grid have come in. So old intermediates on for Roux, brand new virtually intermediates on board for Hyphy Honda. The rain condition described the level of standing water just to the left of the tyre graphic at the bottom of the screen. Plenty of fuel on board as well, so if the rear end goes on these GT4 cars, it's going to spin around quickly, so you do have to be incredibly careful on the throttle. Lap 13 then, of course, we had 2 laps under the safety car that came out on lap 11. We won't see the safety car again, or the pace car, of course, for our US racing enthusiasts. Looking like T-Deeds with the new wet tyres is making moves now and moving forward, so I'll have to call what I see in front of me rather than a rule book that I'm slightly unfamiliar with, but certainly T-Deeds, those wet tyres working incredibly well right now in comparison to the 2 cars in front of him. Got the stars and stripes on the end plates of the Chevy, looking very, very appropriate here. Proper American muscle driving around in P2, and the Lamborghini at T-Deeds trying to find a way through here, but everybody just driving at Hyphy Honda speed right now. Thrasher is in 4th, still on the circuit as far as I can tell, which is notable at the moment. We'll just go and check in with those in a minute, but this is the battle for the podium, the battle for the lead no less, with the different headlights. Now, normally under European racing rules, the GT3 and the GT4 have consistent coloured headlights, purely because we have multi-class racing and you need to be able to see the difference in those endurance events very quickly. But Hyphy Honda leads. Roux from T-Deeds down into turn 1 at the start of lap 14. Let's have a quick look then as we go through the order. It is Thrasher in 4th. It's Deviant in the blitz. Look at the puddles and the splashing. Oh, Deviant. That was less than Deviant routes out of turn 1. Maxwell moves through, so does Thrasher, but our Saito gaining positions on all of them, up into 4th position, and that heavy, tall, wide, I don't know what else to call it, that ugly ugly Asperjo is sitting very nicely in these wet conditions down on the racing line. As you've got the Corona C, I believe that is on the bonnet anyway. So Thrasher just weaving his way. He's on the wet tyres as well, Thrasher, but they're pretty old. And now the standing water is starting to clear. So we've gone beyond the kind of 60 odd % mark of standing water. So it looks like the weather is drying up a little bit. Let's join. Well, it's a bad car to join on board here, the Jaguar, because we've got spray coming off the driver in front. If I have a look on board with Saito, we actually got rain falling. It is only very, very gentle rain falling at the moment. And we look back here from the rear wing of Thrasher. We see Maxwell slotting in quite nicely. Still Hyphy Honda, Rue and T Deeds at the head of this track. Look how much the field has opened up though since the safety car. It really is remarkable difference in the way the drivers can handle these conditions. Deviant then, car 22, certainly one of my favourite car numbers, is in P7 right now. It's a very good looking wrapped car here for Deviant. Lalo Kills then in 8th place. He has drifted away really from the battle for the provisional large pain points anyway. There's Kuroskai drifting up the hill and around the twisty section of the racetrack. Silo in P10. He's struggling a little bit today, I think, down in P10. Arcane in 11, talk of struggle. And Sully, wow, dropping all the way down to P12 now. Rue now leads, says has overtaken Hyphy Honda. I'm assuming, in fact, do you know what? I want to actually catch that. I want to catch that move from Rue. Let's go back and have a look. Here he is then, down the start, finish straight. It was indeed. So looking like a good exit out of the final corner. Rue on the intermediate tyres that are bedded in nicely and perhaps suiting the current conditions at the moment. About 50% standing water depth before we hit guaranteed aquaplaning. So Hyphy Honda dropping for the first time really down into 2nd place, and Rue looking very good at this phase. T Deeds is in 3rd position as he is just trying to now find a way through past Hyphy Honda, who is trying to regroup really, take the hit and come back fighting back for his 1st position. But the gap is opening. It looks like Rue was keeping his powder dry somewhat there, as he's now waiting to unlock his pace. Now that's the time when drivers have to be most careful, frankly, is when they've been driving at the speed of a slower rival in front, and then they get the opportunity to push, and all of a sudden you start seeing mistakes because they're having to adjust their driving position once again. Hyphy Honda is really struggling, can't really get those tyres to work for him in these conditions, those intermediates. T Deeds goes a long way around the outside. Will there be some grip on the outer line of the corner? Oh, T Deeds threading the needle there. Absolutely fantastic manoeuvre around the outside. Hyphy Honda didn't make it easy for him, but he had no need to. And T Deeds can absolutely claim that one as a top move. So T Deeds into 2nd. The top 3 turned on its head. It's now Rue, T Deeds and Hyphy Honda at the top of our standings. Potentially Hyphy Honda though looking good through the corner. Will he come back down into the inside line? He makes the corner, makes the 2nd place overtake, but T Deeds has a good smooth exit coming. And actually Hyphy Honda, with the exit he had out of the previous lap, it didn't work for him because he gave up the position. But T Deeds slow away, and those wet tyres suddenly appear to be dropping off in terms of performance, and Hyphy Honda has found something on the track. Look at the standing water suddenly dropping down hugely. Hyphy Honda off into the mud, but trying to still retain that second place, but to no avail. Looks like TD's is getting through. He is. So Hyphy Honda, it's that exit of turn 1, feed into turn 2, certainly catching a lot of drivers out here. We're blind exit on that corner, and it is pretty difficult. It looks easy on the track map. It is far from it though. So you see a lot of drivers pushing the envelope coming through turn 1, and unfortunately not working out. TD's does not want to get bogged down in a battle here with the former leader Hyphy Honda, because the new leader Rue is gapping the field and driving away from the group here. We are over half distance. It is 34 minutes done as we head down towards the second hairpin. Rue, TD's and Hyphy Honda, as they start to gap a little bit. I was just going to click away and have a look at the huge battle at the midfield, but this one will not stop between Hyphy Honda and TD's. But let's go and join them, because our Saito is hanging on at the moment. Thrasher with Maxwell coming on the outside. We've got Deviant looking for a smooth line through the pair of them if he can. Maxwell can't quite sneak that Jaguar. It's rather a muscular car trying to fit that Jaguar into a ever decreasing gap here for the Ferrari, who's bossing the middle line and trying to hold the apex at the moment. Thrasher trying to resist Maxwell's advances, but I don't know. It looks like Maxwell's got pace. He's also got grip. Thrasher on the wet tyres, struggling now. Look at the standing water level. It is dropping, and we are drying out on the circuit. So it will be time for another pit stop. The drivers have used the mandatory tyre, excuse me, for our American friends, and I imagine we're going to be heading towards mediums or potentially even hards to the finish here. Drivers be trying to make one more pit stop to finish this race out. Most drivers have got about half a tank of fuel on as well. Should get them to the end. Thrasher and Maxwell racing very fair at this stage, and they're actually catching our Saito. Thrasher with a move down the inside. That was aggressive, that was late. Saito put off onto the outside of the corner. Maxwell trying to find the apex, but just shying away from contact between the two. Living to fight another day. Thrasher goes through to 4th. Looked like he had the worst pace of all when we joined them. Our Saito goes to the outside. Maxwell tries to make his way through, but putting 2 wheels off the racing line and into the wet. Looks like maybe Deviant having a look in the inside. And can he find his way through at all? No. Maxwell, better run at this stage, and trying to not allow Thrasher to get too far away. This time now Saito has found some pace and grip. It is just all over the shop with it. When it comes to performance in these mixed conditions, it's drying out different tyre strategies. Maxwell's intermediates are almost slick because he's managed to wear all the tread away from those tyres. It doesn't quite work like that in sim racing, unfortunately. It'd be great if it did. But Maxwell picking up the spray now on the apex of the corner. Surely our drivers will be pitting soon, as it looks like our Saito a little bit of heel and toe going through the corner, maybe to just managing the pace. You can see the brake lights flashing, the different phases through the corner. It's not smooth. Oh, Maxwell almost driving into the back of Saito. Some unexpected braking moments. Deviant tries to go around the outside, gets a bit of a tank slapper on to the left of the car, and you can see didn't quite make it through the corner. Will we see some pit stops? Yes, indeed. Here comes Maxwell. Here comes Saito. Thrasher's in off the wet tyres as well. Is it too early for dries, though? As obviously the pit lane is far, far wetter than the racetrack. Here is Lalo Kills then. He's staying on the intermediates for now. The intermediates will work, obviously, longer than the wets did in these conditions. It's right on board. It is still raining a little, although there is a dry line, a definite dry line on the track. So it is very interesting how the drivers are going to make this decision. And the wind has changed again. It's just flicking around, this wind. It was southwesterly, it's back to northwesterly on a 3.7 meters per second wind. So the drivers, if they're not paying attention to that on their screens, it will catch them out. Hyphy Honda trying the old karting trick of going around the outside of the apex for better grip in the wet conditions. Sometimes there's more grip out there. There's also more rubber marbles out there as well, so it's not always the best way to run. But at the moment, these intermediate drivers are progressing through nicely. I wonder if Roux is struggling with those front tyres. How is Roux driving this well on those tyres? That is outstanding at the moment here, but it looks like Hyphy Honda might be starting to catch. A 2:07 that lap from Roux, a 2:03 from Hyphy Honda, so I think we may see Roux needing to pit now at the end of this lap, but it's decision time. Is it drying sufficiently to indicate that it will be fully dry? With 20 minutes to go, 1/3 race distance left to go. Roux needs to break that car very sharply down into pit lane. Looks like the pit assist came at just the right time for him. Hyphy Honda into the lead. TD's in the pits as well, so Hyphy Honda on the intermediates will have a lap here on the intermediate tyres. We'll see if Roux and TD do indeed go onto dry tyres. Lalo Kills is on the intermediates, isn't feeling the need to go onto dry tyres just yet. Wet tyres for Saito and Thrasher, intermediates for Maxwell, Deviant. Has anybody braved the dry tyres? Kuros Kai has only just come out and he's gone onto the intermediates. So then we have Silo on the wets. It is completely mixed decision making going on. Brand new intermediates for Arcane. Sully on intermediates too. What about Hyphy Honda? Yeah, intermediate tyres and still out there. Drifting slightly offline. Lalo Kills is now in second place as TD has come out on new wet tyres. I did not think I would see new wet tyres on the car. I know it's raining, but there is a definite dry line. New intermediates for Roux. That feels more sensible with the conditions at the moment. And I think back to the 1993 European Grand Prix at Donington here in the UK. Famously, Ayrton Senna made 5 pit stops and still won the race. And his mantra, always be on the right tyre for the current conditions. And that was how he went through the race, and it's always stuck with me. Roux in P4 then, intermediate tyres. Let's see what kind of pace he can gather up. He's got that delicate battle now of trying to generate tyre temperature without generating too much slip angle on the tyre and tip himself off, frankly. So there we have Roux in 4th. He was your former leader of the race. I can't see gaps. I'm sorry, I can't see gaps. If I was doing this live, I would see gaps for you. But it's a quirk of the replay. Hyphy Honda has the fastest lap, a 1:54.2, all the way back at the start of the race before we saw any rain. And I wonder if at the end of the race whether we will see any more. Well, Hyphy Honda's in the pits. The rain has picked up. The rain, in fact, has picked up quite considerably, so maybe those wet tyres were the correct choice. The engineers then advising our drivers, some better than others it seems. Let's ride with Roux, who will find some patches of the racetrack better than others when he's fighting with the car in front. Obviously the intermediates will work better. That looks like Hyphy Honda coming out of the pits. It is losing the lead. TD's 3 completely different lines into turn 1. Absolutely fascinating. And I tell you what, Roux is not going to pick up extra grip getting mud on those tyres on the outside, is he? But we've got Lalo Kills from second, dropping down then outside of the top 8 with his next pit stop. It is 42 minutes gone, and it does look like at the moment the weather is here to stay. The rain intensifying, the amount of standing water increasing. Hyphy Honda is trying to get some grip, get some performance out of these tyres. TD's leads us though on, I believe it was wet tyres for TD's, and he'll have more confidence that they will obviously overheat and drop off much faster if we do start to get drier conditions. Hyphy Honda then dropping back down to second. He's been first, he's been second, he's been third. He comes out after that pit stop cycle into second place and really makes a mistake going through the second hairpin. Obviously not expecting that level of grip down into the corner. Roux gathers up huge amount of pace as he catches HiFi Honda once again, and it is just back and forth yo-yoing between these three drivers through the course of our race so far. Looking absolutely magical in the rain. It's the kind of track conditions where I'm very glad I'm in the warm commentary box here, because you wouldn't want to be standing out in this or driving in this unless you absolutely had to. Underneath the comically decorated bridge there in the third sector of the track here at Autopolis in Japan. There's now HiFi Honda with those different lines, and we can barely see that dry line on the racetrack once again. It has almost completely disappeared. He follows in the wheel tracks of T. Deeds though. Stares underneath that Lamborghini rear wing, and T. Deeds might look at a possible defensive move here. Flashes the headlights to let the backmarker know that he will require some assistance, but that looks like T. Deeds off the circuit. Let's go and have another look at that one from the perspective of T. Deeds as he heads down, flashing the MLB sponsored Peugeot. Brakes down, no contact, but just way too late on the brakes, off into the mud, and then joins Sully out in the ditch on the exit of turn 1. T. Deeds then down to third. What a shame for T. Deeds, who was doing everything right and appears to have the best tyres on for the conditions at the moment, until that moment at least. HiFi Honda retakes the lead of the race. Roux is in second, T. Deeds down to third, but all is not lost. He'll definitely be more circumspect going into turn 1, but maybe he just can't get the wet tyres working properly. By the look of things, you would think, would you not, that these tyres would be the perfect tyre for this particular phase of the race. 45th minute, 21st lap, rain up to sort of 2/3 depth on the tyre tread. You'd think T. Deeds would be absolutely well placed right now. No dry line visible. You've got obviously those headlights bright and ablaze as the rear end comes out on T. Deeds, sidesteps the car into the second hairpin. We've seen all night long just how often that happens for the drivers. T. Deeds again. Whoa! Come on, hold it. Yes, what a great drift from T. Deeds. I love to see that kind of stuff. Of course, it's no good for his race time, but what a hold from T. Deeds. I'm sorry about this, but I'm gonna have to watch that again, because that was phenomenal. Let's watch it from on board, shall we, as we watch him react to the corner. Turns in, and it is all going wrong. You're looking straight out at the left side window. Great entertainment from T. Deeds, but he probably wasn't enjoying it too much himself. Looked fantastic on screen though. HiFi Honda leads on lap 21 from Roux, from T. Deeds here on screen. Let's run down through the order. We've got our Saito in the Peugeot, still hanging on to that 4th place. Gamely here is our Saito. He's on wet tyres and they're working a lot better than T. Deeds wets on the Lamborghini. Then we've got wet tyres on the Ferrari of Thrasher, who's certainly reined it in a little bit because he was looking quite leery out on the corners. And again though, that rear end of the Ferrari lighting up as you would expect it to. Pirelli tyres, but certainly not performing quite as well as he'd hope. Maxwell is in 6th, showing very well indeed here in the Jaguar. One of the less high performance cars on the balance of performance here for the GT4s, but he's doing well in the solo Jaguar that we've seen in the midfield. Then comes Deviant in the first of our Chevys, there in the Blitz sponsored Chevy. Looking beautiful out there. There's a nice close-up of all the supporting sponsors for Deviant's car. Lalo Kills could do with a couple of those sponsors, and you look at the creased bodywork on the Alfa Romeo then for P8 at the moment for Lalo Kills. Kuros Kai is down in 9th place, some distance away then from the lead group at the moment, unfortunately, but has been really struggling to manhandle that Renault, and well, it's certainly looking a little bit different from when it did at the start of the race. teammate, I think, Arcane, is also not enjoying the Renault in these conditions, certainly on the Autopolis circuit. It looks like a lot of the fans have gone home. They've got too wet to carry on. So Arcane, he also has made some contact with other drivers or walls. Silo down in 11th right now, mounting the curbs. Probably isn't too happy about me showing the car at that precise moment. And the last driver on the circuit is Sully. Mercury is our safety car driver tonight. And the drivers have lapped Sully. But Hyphy Honda was looking a little bit dodgy earlier on there at the start of the stint and the end of the previous stint, but right now Hyphy Honda putting on some great performance. The rain appears to be easing again. It's our battle then for second position. Rue in second, T-Deeds in third. Remember, T-Deeds on the wet tyres, so he will have to make an earlier decision for dry tyres if we get there. 48 minutes though of the 60. Will we actually see dry tyres at the end of the race? It looked like TD's was drifting again. Looks like those rear tyres, there's absolutely no wear on those wet tyres, but it looks like they are very, very loose for him. Probably needs to be revisiting his wet setup here a little bit. Either that or he is fully gone for a dry setup. I love to see these randomised puddles across the circuit as well. Do well to avoid them unless he's deliberately cooling the tyres. Is TD. Well, he was a bit closer to Rue on that previous sector. We've got a bit of excitement building though. Our Saito against Thrasher. Just as we cut to Thrasher, he tries to use the mud on the inside of the apex to turn the car. I'm not sure that is ideal. Wet tyres on Thrasher and on our Saito. An equal battle though right now. And again, the rear of the Ferrari looking very lively. Like it's going to let go at any moment, and got plenty of fuel on board, a lot less fuel being used in the wet conditions, so drivers will have no trouble getting home. In fact, they might regret having put any fuel in the car at all on those previous stops, certainly as much as they did, but they weren't to know. And there you can see the sun glinting off the beautiful Ferrari, so clearly the sun has come out here in Japan, with Thrasher going the long way around the outside of our Saito, who's got the inside line going into the second hairpin. Great overtake from Thrasher. It's just about getting to the apex now as our Saito just tiptoes around, doesn't want to make contact and draw the ire of the stewards. But Saito down to fifth and Thrasher back to fourth position now. Behind them, we may start to see a battle brewing between Maxwell and Deviant. But for now, at least, Saito stuck behind Thrasher, and now that dry line coming back to the cars. These two will want to pit fairly soon. Remember, TD's also on the wet tyre. Quite helpfully for us, it's third, fourth and fifth positions on the wet tyres as we go round those curbs under the bridge again. And Maxwell looks to be catching these two a little bit, so those intermediate tyres maybe starting to be the better tyre at this stage on the lower end of the wet conditions. T-Deeds is in. Great to see. So T-Deeds making the first decision to pit. Thrasher has refused the pit lane. Saito in though. So is Maxwell. Is this a mistake for Thrasher, or has he got it correctly? So Saito, Maxwell in. T-Deeds in as well, having a changeover. No fuel needed. Oh, right. No, I was having heart failure. I thought he'd gone onto wet tyres again. Let's wait. Out of the pits, soft tyres for a nice little 9-minute sprint session for T-Deeds. Let's see what he can do then, and can he perform the undercut on Rue and Hyphy Honda. The track is drying very quickly. We've seen a false dawn before when it comes to the conditions, but maybe, just maybe, this is the lap for T-Deeds. Let's join him on board and see how the car is handling. How can he perform the undercut? This is all about his outlap being faster than the inlap of the cars in front of him, the cars net in front of him in the Hyphy Honda and Rue. And then we've got Thrasher in third place as well, who was behind him on circuit. But this is essentially T-Deeds trying to do a better inlap than Hyphy Honda and Rue can perform at the moment. Let's wait for the sector times as he breaks down towards the in of the second hairpin. Didn't get a sector time, unfortunately. but hopefully we will see a quick time then for T Deeds in the second and third sectors. Of course, the first sector massively hampered by the pit lane exit. Not seeming to struggle to get the power down right now here in Autopolis. So looks like the conditions have dried incredibly quickly. Just a little bit of water occasionally as he exits the corners, but frankly looks like this is virtually dry conditions. You can now see Deviant in front. The leaders have not pitted on this lap, though they were on intermediate tyres, so they will last a little bit longer. But how about this lap then from T Deeds? What will this one be for him? He seems to be catching the cars in front at least. A 2:08, that's a fairly good time. Let's compare that to Hyphy Honda, a 2:03 potentially on that lap. So it may not be quick enough, but it will be the all-important next full lap for both groups of driver before we see who will triumph here. I fancy T Deeds will be very close. And without that massive drift we saw earlier, he would have been locked on favourite for the win here. And I don't want to upset him. If he doesn't end up winning this one, I don't want him to be regretting it. But he's definitely catching Deviant, and he's catching Thrasher in third right now. And I wonder if the same story is happening further down the grid against Thrasher, against Deviant, for Maxwell, for Saito. So T Deeds coming behind these two drivers now. This is going to be critical for him. He needs to pass them as quickly as possible, and as if he can hear me, even though this isn't live, straight away. Tremendous. And we've got some quite a lot of Italian horsepower coming out of the hairpin in one go there. T Deeds scything through past Deviant in the wedge-shaped Lamborghini. Oh, Deviant way off the circuit, unfortunately, just exit stage right from our camera position, and T Deeds has got through, so limiting his losses there. His gap presumably now is dropping to the leaders. Are they going to try and hold on to the end of the race and not play the pit stop game here? They've got intermediate tyres on. Surely they'll overheat. We'll have a look at their lap times. That was a 2:01.9 for Hyphy Honda. Knows exactly the job he's got to do then. If he is going to stay out, it's all on T Deeds and what pace he can unlock here. What about this lap time from T Deeds? That was a 2-minute flat. Now, can he make up for that pit stop in the remaining 4.5 minutes plus a few seconds of this race? That's a huge ask from him, especially with that lap time difference at the moment. But the softs now into temperature. He's got less fuel on board. He's calculated the fuel very well indeed, especially given that huge drift moment earlier on. But Rue losing ground to our leader, Hyphy Honda. I fancy T Deeds can probably gain an additional place here, but can he make the difference in the remaining maybe 2, maybe 3 laps to come? This is very, very tight for him. We'll watch him on the track map while we keep an eye on closer battles on the racetrack at the moment. Look at the wet tyres of Thrasher. He's trying to hold on to the end here, but his left side of the car, those tyres completely destroyed, quite frankly. Deviant trying to find a way through. He's not faring a great deal better, but at least he's on intermediate tyres. Thrasher on wet tyres right now, and certainly destroying his tyres with absolute aplomb in that Ferrari. Down in P6 we have Lalo Kills being caught by our Saito on the soft tyres. You've got to fancy our Saito for this one. And Maxwell then closing on the pair of them, I think, at this stage in the number 8. He's on the soft tyres, making a lapped car look incredibly slow there for a moment is Maxwell. Arcane is in 9th position and pretty much on his own, as is teammate Kuros Kai in the Renault. Silo, we just saw him being passed by Maxwell. Well, he's on fresh softs, and that kind of partly explains why that might be. Then in 12th place is Sully. Obviously Mercury's in the pits, as Hyphy Honda. Wait to see in the background whether we could see Rue anymore. We couldn't. So Rue has a large gap to the car in front and a fairly large gap to the car behind, who's burning through his soft tyres, but nowhere near as much as the tyre wear on Rue's car. Rue is just trying to hold on. We've got 2.5 minutes to go before the final lap will be issued at the latest for the drivers. So T Deeds in third position, I'm sure is catching Rue here. A 157.7 to Rue's 208 on that last lap. Still a good 3 seconds faster than Hyphy Honda. I don't think that's enough though to catch Hyphy Honda at this rate, but he'll be hoping that Hyphy Honda's tyres go off even more. Should be fueled well enough here to a finish. Is that Hyphy Honda just... Oh no, he has a little way to go, so I think we're going to see 2 more laps, including the one that we are on. It's lap 27 right now. T Deeds is in third, Rue is in second, and Hyphy Honda, as he has been for much of this race and qualifying, in the lead position on track. Will we see, though, with these tyres absolutely destroyed for the drivers who have stayed on the wet or intermediates, will we see them disappearing off the racetrack? Hyphy Honda counter-steering through the final corner. I think he's comfortable enough on the inters, but Rue in the Chevy is really having a tough time out there. Look at T Deeds already catching with massive confidence. Surely it's going to be a slam dunk overtake coming up. T Deeds away from the final corner with better traction. Here we go then. Can he catch him before turn 1? We've seen plenty of drivers make mistakes on the exit of turn 1 already. T Deeds a little bit too far away, perhaps, down to the final kind of 45 seconds before we'll see final lap notified on the track. I don't know if Hyphy Honda will in fact, I think he will get that final lap issue before the end of this current lap he is on. T Deeds takes second, and he is now well away and drifting away from Rue, but Hyphy Honda looking very much like someone who is going to hold on to the end of the race. 1 sector left to go. We're about to get that final lap triggered. It looks like P12 has gone through, so Sully will get the final lap. Sully will cross the line then in P11 for the first of our drivers. P12 then likewise, but Hyphy Honda just has a few corners left to hold it together. Still got a quarter of a tank of fuel on board in the stylish looking Alfa Romeo with the Japanese car culture references. Oh dear me, Hyphy Honda, that rear left is let go completely. Will there be a sting in the tail here for Hyphy Honda? Needs to avoid that in the final 2 corners. Here we go then, it's the final lap. Puts one wheel off into the mud, that's not going to help matters. T Deeds is closing in. Surely Hyphy Honda could just short shift and crawl his way to the line on dead intermediate tyres. Hyphy Honda wins our first race of the season. Coming up behind then in a fantastic drive overall. T Deeds in second place, gotta be happy with that, I'm sure. Next up we see Rue, and look at the state of those tyres. He's almost destroyed every single tyre on the car. It's now a northeasterly wind. What is going on tonight? Rue is in third, completing our podium. Next up we see our Saito in fourth place on the Racing Soft tyres and across the line. Great performance from our Saito. We see Maxwell bringing the car home. That's fifth place for the Jaguar. Great job from Maxwell. Next up is Deviant in the Chevy, over into sixth place. He almost completed those tyres. Then we get Lalo Kills in seventh. Thrasher brings the Ferrari, unfortunately for him, home in eighth, as high as second or third at some points for Thrasher. Arcane is in ninth, Kuroskai in 10th, and Silo in 11th. Fastest lap will go by the way of Hyphy Honda very early in our race as well. We'll give you the confirmed provisional results once the race is completely done and dusted. Silo 11th, Sully 12th. Fantastic race overall for everybody concerned, I'm sure. Very hard work, very hard fought from our drivers, as Hyphy Honda then will take home all the points, frankly, all the plaudits, and TD's just closes in to give his congratulations. But it's Hyphy Honda with the win. Great work from him. I won't give you full results because it's not available to me. But anyway, that was our race for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a subscribe, leave a like on the video. And I hope to see you all on the next race day. This has been Webbo. This has been Deviant Racing's GT4 first race of the season from Autopolis International Racing Course. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Good night.